Welcome to Day and Night News Prime Debate. The subject of police atrocities is not a new one. We have seen victims being thrashed, dragged and beaten up till they almost drop dead. Excesses by the police forces have come to the fore every other day. Rightly, the police have the right to question, to interrogate, but do they have the right to use force as a matter of routine, and what's really worrying, as a matter of right? The police have earned a bad name not by the profession they are in, but the way they handle things. One such grim reminder of the bad deeds of the police is the thrashing of a man by the men in khaki, which unfortunately for them has come out in the open.
An MMS showing how rude can the police be is doing the rounds these days in Jalandhar. 3 cops were caught on camera while torturing a suspect inside a police station. In plain clothes, they were filmed beating up a man with belts. As the matter came to light, the authorities swung into action and ordered an inquiry.
ਇਹਦੀ ਇਨਕੁਆਇਰੀ ਕਰਵਾ ਕੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਅਫਸਰਾਂ ਦਾ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਸੂਰ ਪਾਇਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਖਿਲਾਫ ਕਾਰਵਾਈ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਏਗੀ। ਹਿਊਮਨ ਰਾਈਟਸ ਦੇ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁਕਮਾਂ ਦੀ ਵਾਇਲੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੋਏਗੀ। जिस भी कर्मचारी का इस विच जो कसूर है उसके खिलाफ सख्त तो सख्त कार्रवाई की जाएगी।
This is not one incident where the protectors have taken the law into their own hands. A few days back, some youngsters were made to squat and hold their ears in full public glare by the police in Karnal for alleged eve-teasing. All this in a country which has signed the United Nations Convention Against Torture in 1997. Now the centre has come with a Prevention to Torture Bill 2010, which provides for punishment for acts of torture committed by public servants. But incidents like these highlight the double standards of the government.
To discuss this, we have in our studios Mr. K.R. Lakhanpal, former Chief Secretary Punjab, Mr. P. Lal, former DGP Punjab, Mr. Vikram Chaudhary, Advocate Punjab and Haryana High Court, and Mr. Rajwinder Singh Bains, Advocate of the Punjab and Haryana High Court in Chandigarh. Mr. Lal, to start with you, now you've seen these clips where the police was at its worst, if one can say that. Now you've been a part of this force for over 30 years, and since it's almost nearly 60 years since, or more than 60 years since independence, one wonders as to why all this happens.
You see, it's very unfortunate that this thing even now takes place in the police department. There are many reasons. One is historical. Traditionally, police had been doing this thing in the past, not only in this country, all over the world. And if we look back, say, 1,000 years, tooth for a tooth and eye for an eye, that was the law. And the armed wing of the state, the army, the military, and they were performing the duties of the police also. Unfortunately, you see many of the police forces in various countries, they have not been able to break from this evil practice, except in countries which are developed. We see, for example, the United Kingdom and the USA.
But did you see a change as you moved up in the force? I mean, you were the SSP, you must have seen some of this that time.
No, I think, you see, there has been no change. Rather, the things might have deteriorated, if I could say that.
But why is that?
You see, there are many reasons. One is historical, as I said. The other is the psyche. You see, the psyche, the power, when it comes, then it blinds everybody, whether he is the police or he is elsewhere. And the powers that be, who are at the helm of the affairs, you see, they misuse the police. They don't want the police to improve, as a matter of fact.
So various reasons that you...
There are many reasons, you see, because any political power coming in power, they would like to use the police force for their own purposes.
Now, Mr. Bains, you've been a human rights activist for many years. How do you explain this almost beastly or animal-like behavior?
I think the biggest reason that this behavior continues is that we don't punish them. We have so much experience that where in one police station, one police officer is punished, the torture stops there. In those police stations, they stop doing these practices. So the moment we really tolerate, the political establishment tolerate, the higher police leadership tolerate, and we have a disabled police which does not have the ability to investigate or interrogate in any other way. This is one of the largest reasons that they don't know what to do. You have a case, you have to solve a case, and except beating, they can't think of any other method. This is the fundamental reason, and we have to retrain the police completely.
Now, Mr. Chaudhary, you've done a lot of work on the treatment of people in custody. I think some of them have died and they keep dying. I think Punjab ranks perhaps 9th in 2009 in the list of countries, in the list of states where the custodial deaths have taken place. What was the study that you did? What was the result of that? I mean, the surmise that you came to.
Well, insofar as the legal practice is concerned and the law is concerned, I think so far as Punjab and Haryana is concerned, the lawyers as well as the judiciary has been very active on this field. I must tell you that when we joined practice about 20 years back, the High Court has always been sensitive right from that moment. When I joined practice, one of my cases, a telegram had been received by the court that a particular detainee has been tortured in custody. The matter was suo motu taken up by the High Court. Not only the warrant officer was appointed, but acting on the report, the High Court had ordered registration of case of wrongful restraint of various sections of IPC concerning hurt and etc. and exemplary compensation was ordered there and then. Now, since I understand the Human Rights Commission is doing another formidable job here, the various human rights lawyers, including Mr. Bans, who's sitting here.
Well, that's a debatable point whether they are doing a formidable job, but that's another issue, of course.
That's right. And that has actually, I would say, that helped in eradicating this menace to a large extent. It was prevalent to a much higher level earlier, which now I would be saying it is much under the covers. But yes, whenever such incidents come to the fore, well, they always
why should such incidents at all happen, you see? That is the question.
That's right.
You see, when they come to your notice, then you take action. But why should they happen?
Well, that is the answer to this probably has been given by the Supreme Court. One of the leading judgments on the subject was D.K. Basu's case in 1997. The Supreme Court exhaustively dealt with the subject of torture. They went into all dimensions of it. And then they issued certain directions which have now become, I would say, locus classicus. They have been translated into the Code of Criminal Procedure now, where they said what would be the rights of an arrested person or a detainee whilst in the custody of the police to prevent that there is no misuse of the process of law, that there is no torture, that there is no wrongful restraint.
But yet it continues.
In the Indian Penal Code, which is existing since ages, you see, there is a provision for 7 years punishment for extorting confession, whether that confession is extorted by a police officer or by anybody.
Correct.
And if he causes grievous hurt, it's 10 years punishable. And this Prevention of Torture Act,
but sadly that hasn't prevented the
yes,
from
it will
doing what
not prevent unless we address the problem substantially and you see fully.
In fact, the instrument that we've seen these people using just in the clip that we saw has been there. I think it's prevalent in almost every police station.
Yes, it is. You see,
and I remember, the various things are scribbled onto this, this little torture instrument.
Hit the nail on the head when he said, "Why is that prevalent?" I mean, we all know the legal provisions. We know what the Supreme Court have been repeatedly saying, and so on and so forth. But what we are confronted with, the damn thing is still continuing in a much more menacing form than it has been.
I remember, Mr. Lakhanpal, when you were the district magistrate in Ludhiana, as a professional, I think you ran foul of the police many a time. I think you tried to restrain them, and they would kind of try and overrule you, and then you would complain against them. Why is it continuing now?
No outside authority can restrain the police. You see, restraining process will not work.
I think
let me finish. You see,
yes.
You see, it is something which has to come from within. The police force has to, correct itself. Now, they are not correcting itself. Why? Many regions we see are there.
Well,
no, look,
there would be a disagreement so far because Mr. Lal happens to be a police officer here.
I'm not justifying the
No. I'll tell you, this doesn't come from within unless somebody is oriented.
Absolutely.
Somebody is given that kind of an environment, somebody is given that kind of an orientation, understanding, learning.
Mr. Lakhanpal, what Mr. Vance said was that I think they are under pressure. Now, could it be that a couple of agencies...
Let me answer the question you were coming to me. We had a run-in with the police when I was the DM. Not personally with anybody.
Ji.
I restrained the police from wrongdoing in an effective manner in whatever way the law empowered a DM, under the police rule, under the CRPC, under whatever. Now, Mr. Lal says, well, the police should be left alone. They can reform only from within. They will never reform.
No, I totally
They never reform.
See,
and if the DM's intervention, may I complete?
Please complete.
If the DM's intervention, which is under the law, which is under the Police Act, which is under the police rules, 1630 is not created by DM himself. I acted under that. But the basic resentment of the police was, who is this DM? No other DM is doing it. Why is he doing it? Why is he checking us? It is considered to be it is thought to be intervention.
Mr. Lakhanpal, now a lot of people feel that the couple of roles that the police performs, they are in charge of law and order, they also investigate, then they also lead or help the prosecution prosecute a person. Do you think there is need for separation of these roles?
I would strongly recommend that.
Because I remember Mr. D.S. Danewalia, when he was the police chief, he tried doing it. But apparently it was reversed later.
Mr. Danewalia based his propositions on the model of the British police, you see, where the detective wing is entirely separate. Their training is separate, their career advancement
should that be
is
done
separate.
as a police officer? What is your take?
It should be done in order to improve the quality of investigation. But that is not going to solve the problem of torture in the police department, you see. Now, what is the level of a policeman? Normally, out of 70,000 policemen in Punjab, majority of them are constables. The level of education is up to 10th only, you see. They don't have any awareness, you see, of the human right aspects, you see, the rights of others. So
yeah, but now, Mr. Chaudhary, since most of this torture takes place in custody, do you think there is a legal remedy to it? Let's say if we were to say that as soon as a person is picked up, he should be made to engage a lawyer. Or should the village panchayat be involved? I mean, do you have such...
Absolutely, the law is already in its place. The law is extremely well articulated in both IPC, CRPC. They are absolutely, the law is in its place. Right from the day one now, as I said, D.K. Basu's case, the guidelines have been translated into now legally binding,
But what do you do, Mr. Chaudhary, if the police doesn't show an arrest then?
This is what I was trying to say. That you see, you may have any amount of law, any amount of guidelines from the Supreme Court or the High Court. They are there. But still you see this is happening.
It is only the lack of implementation in its true spirit.
So who will implement that?
It is the police which needs orientation.
Yes.
It is the need of the hour today.
Yes.
That right in Prakash Singh's case, the Supreme Court said that Police Act exists since 1861. There is another, you see, there was a reforms and restructuring of police, and some National Police Commission was set up in 1977. Yes. But nothing happened. Then the Supreme Court, in its jurisdiction under Article 142 and Article 32, issued various guidelines relating to reforms in police. One of it was fixing the tenure of the DGP and the IGPs, that they would not be shifted before 2 years expired.
Yeah, we'll come to that, but I don't think they dealt with the issues at the grassroots level actually.
No, they dealt with it. Let me just complete. They even said